I want to move this one step further. So we know that with the Aleph as the absolute state of Ehyeh, of I am, and all that we have talked about, and the creation formula of Yod He Vav He, there's also one more form that this is when we really, the active spark and the fire to make this happen. You remember how we were saying that it's passion, like the desire, the power of desire, which creates. Well, it's one thing to have a desire, then there's the magic that goes in behinding the creation formula of actually making it happen, which is that negentropic state. You can actually create through the entropic state, but that means you're taking, and that would be what would be considered black magic. We're not talking about black magic here. We're talking about life-giving magic, and we need to get over that word. We've been, do not suffer a witch to live, whatever, that needs to be broken down. I need to share that because it's not saying any of that. We could have saved many lives before, during all the Salem witch trials, but that's for another day. But this process of actually taking our authority in our sovereignty and creating change that is meant to help, this is what we're talking about here. And that's when we add the sheen in the middle of Yod He Vav He, you get the vibration frequency of the name that sounds like Yeshua. Yeshua. Yod He, Sheen Vav He, when you pronounce it, is Yeshua. This is the pentagrammaton. I've shared this picture with you guys before. Again, my whole purpose is collapsing all that scary, spooky stuff that the church said, oh, it's witchcraft, stay away from it. That's because they want us to be under something so that we don't have our power, and we give it away to being under a God instead of realizing who we are so that we can be the resolve. We have the ability to do this if we understand who we are and what is being given to us. So let me share with you what that pentagrammaton looks like, so that we don't have to keep separating ourselves from that which we are to be able, because Yachol, the meaning to be able, it means the bride that has power, that's received her crown. The crown, do you guys remember when I was showing you those little tangs on the 7 letters of the Akkadian flame letters, and it was the dragon with the 7 crowns, and the wife, the woman who sat upon that beast, the Kayutha? It's us taking our magic back and understanding that's who we are in our creation. So when we take a look at this, let me do a screen share. I keep missing the button. I'm like dodging around the button. That's not going to help me to not share it. Here's that pentagrammaton right here. And it shows all the elements that are in there. And the 5th element is spirit. That is the negentropy spirit, the ether, the white fire, that we are then taking within ourselves and creating something in our external realm. This is actually the go juice. This is what makes it happen. This is what makes it white magic and not black magic, because we are giving of our energy and we're giving to help. We're not taking anything. We're not taking anything at all.
Sustainability.
Yes, sustainability for sure. So this is the part that we're land the plane, so I'm not going to get done with the final teaching today. Darn it. I was hoping that we talked too much, but I figured the spirit was leading this, so it'll be a 4-part on the Aleph, and that's okay. I want to land the plane on this. The last word that I wrote on the bottom of the board is actually the way you would spell Jesus's name in Aramaic. That's how you would spell it. So the funny thing is Ishu was teaching Yahshua to the people. Ishu was teaching Yahshua to the people. That was what he was doing. He was teaching people how to use the Yod He Vav He, Yod He Shin Vav He, and to be able to create things and take their sovereignty back, and why it was so powerful of what he was doing. And of course, that would be another reason why they would have wanted to put him to death too, right? Do not let suffer a witch to live or a sorcerer. If he's creating things, why do you think he was able to turn water into wine? Why do you think there was multiplications and things that were extraordinary that he was doing? Because he was walking as Yod He Shin Vav He. So that's what he was teaching. But again, that is only given to the people. Here's the crazy part. It's very easy for us to create out of fear. That is, I mean, that's like, bam,
Oh, we do it all the
Johnny,
time.
spot on. We create through fear all the time
Yeah.
because we have so much shadow. It takes work to be able to create through love and gratitude. Hence why I keep harping on turning all the shadows.
Well, especially when you live in a weird world that projects fear all around you.
Yeah,
Very few people can maintain what you just said,
right.
and the level of awareness that what surrounds them is mostly fear.
So in looking at this, the differentiation of Yod He Shin Vav He as Yahshua and Ishu, this ayin on the end, just because I've had people say, well, why don't you call him Yahshua? Well, because he's not called Yahshua. That ayin has a glottal stop. You like swallow the ayin in the back of your throat. So it's not an ah sound. It's like Ishu. It stops. It doesn't have the fullness of a sound at the end. What I find most fascinating about that, though, what I find absolutely most fascinating about it is this man who is coming to bring the revelation of the Shekinah glory. There is a word that has the hey on the suffix side that is Yeshua, but that's not what he was called. Because he was coming, and I'm going to break that down, and we're not going to go too deep in it, but he came as Ishu in order to reveal Yeshua through him working through his own shadow. He was revealing the Shekinah glory through him working through his own shadow. Because you got to believe that there was rejection there when here this man is bringing this revelation to the people, but the priesthood that he was raised in denied him. They didn't want him as a priest in the priesthood, hence why he had to learn to be a carpenter. And then if you do some history, he lost his father Joseph at a young age, and then he had to be the leader of the household. He had to support everyone. So there was some shadow work that Ishu had to do. Why do you think we have the 40 days in the wilderness story? The narrative. What was he having to deal with? His shadow. That was when the power and the glory came through him so that he could operate in Yahshua. But he did not have this. He had to work through it. He had to go through his shadow, and it had to be revealed to him. Now, what's interesting to note is the Yeshua with the hey, that letter on the suffix that talks about the aspect of what that full vibration is, was Yod He Shin Vav He. I have this written down on a document that I'm going to put on the Haikala level, so I have all these notes on here. It means help, salvation, victory, welfare, and prosperity. When you break down the other aspects of his name in its portions, when you take a look at the Yod Shin Ayin, which is the root, Yasha, with no Vav, okay, just the root. So that's already letting you know that when he came in, he was already connected to his higher self and his lower self. He was already connected at the heart. He was fully connected at the heart. There was nothing there. It was already projected upon him in the creation of mother and father coming together through love. They desired, and they put that energy. It was told that that was the frequency that they were to put upon their son in creation, which, by the way, I did share before that he was not created through immaculate conception. He was created through love of him and Mary and Joseph. That's probably going to burst some bubbles, but I went through that and it's on YouTube somewhere. I already popped that bubble, that he was created through love. And the frequency of the root of this means to deliver, to help, deliverance, salvation, and welfare. So that was the root of it, but he had to be connected at the heart level. The other part of this connection, the active form, here's that aleph. Remember that yod right here is the active form of the aleph. And when you put these two words together right here, it's the active form of fire, aleph shin. So we've talked about Bereshit before, that it's the covenant of fire. This is the actual active form. And you guys, this is amazing, because when you take a look at that word, the Yod Shin, The Yod Shin means passion, property, existence, substance, and reality. So the very frequency of a being of substance is one who is affecting reality, that is coming in the time of aid to help with the need. It also, Yahshua, has to do with crying out for help. So here this frequency was being birthed in the earth at a time when the whole earth was crying out for help. And this is why the book of Revelation is so important for us when we can break that whole thing down, because it's the revelation of the Mashiach Yahshua. It is the same frequency that is being released to those that would come in this frequency to help deliver and be the Mashiach that would have the Christ anointing. So if we don't know what we're being given as an inheritance as Yod He Vav He, if we don't know how to have negentropy to be able to create through Yod He Shin Vav He, then we certainly can never be the revelation of Ishu Mashiach. And that is what I'm sharing with you, and what Ken is sharing with you, and why the language is so important, because the language is what unlocks the key for us to be able to be the embodiment of the second coming of the Christ, of the Mashiach, of the anointing. Listen, not all of us are Mashiachs right now. So I love the people that share on Facebook, but sometimes I'm like, oh, and I have to turn it off and I have to walk it away. I have to totally walk away because, well, it's Christ in you. Okay. I've heard that so many times. Do you even know what the word Mashiach means? No, probably most of you have no idea what Mashiach means, because it means to draw out the mother of all living within you. It means you have to work at it. It isn't given to you automatically. The only way you can get it is by working through your shadow. Hence why Ishu had to work through his shadow. And he had time and he had to do it before he was empowered to do what he needed to do. And if we do not do it, we are never going to be that second coming. So we want to be the change, then we need to do the work. And the ladders allow us to do that through the power of the Aleph. The Aleph is waiting for us to enjoin with it. It's like, here's creation, here's infinite possibility that is just waiting for the sons and daughters to grow up, to be the kings and queens, to then become the emperors that have a sphere of influence that goes beyond just a small little region, that encompasses the entire world, because our spheres of influence has gone well beyond just that of our own little home and our own little neighborhoods. We have the ability to do something fantastic, but what does that mean? When we transmute the shadow, that means we get rid of our ego, because we cannot be operating from the egoic position when we do this. We have to be completely heart-centered. We have to have heart-brain coherence. We have to be operating from the place of the heart. That is where that central flame comes from, of the menorah, and it's called the Shemesh, the servant candle. Shin Mem Shin. This is the picture of the Shekinah, that God's glory revealed, that I push on all of you, that we would start from that center of our heart, and that we would be the Shemesh candle, and that is why you guys are here. It will not happen unless we activate within the language. Yes, some people can do it through 30 years of meditation. Maybe some can do it in 20 years of meditation, but this is the faster route. It's a little bit more jolty because imagine 30 years of shadow work versus getting it done in 2 or 3. It might be more turmoil in the short term, but it's going to get us there in a lot quicker process, a much quicker process than if we were just trying to do it on meditation alone. Because if you couple the language with meditation, every single letter, every revelation that we're sharing with you with the OTO, and you go and meditate with these letters, you are expanding that white fire inside of you at such a faster level than just silencing your mind. And it will happen every single time you encounter every single letter of every single word of every single verse. How do I know? Because I've experienced it myself. How does Ken know? Because he's experienced it himself. We are a walking testimony as witnesses to the power of this language for what it has done in our lives. And that's why we are recruiting all of you to come along and help in this endeavor. And that's why I'm so happy that you guys are here, that you're even taking any desire, like you have a desire to learn something with it. It's like, whatever it was that drew you, that you guys are here and you're allowing this language to embed within you so that we can get this work done. Man, I honor you. Namaste. I honor you so much.
It's the language of translation. And like anything, to really know what it is soundly, truthfully, it's a process. But make no mistake, the language of translation translates. And there's a dimension to this language. So
one last thing. So I kind of buzzed the landing. I didn't quite touch down. So we circled around for one more.
but you had the landing gear out.
I did have it, and I buzzed the tower.
Yeah.
I buzzed the tower. We're circling back around because there's one last thing that I want to really land the plane on. I laugh at myself because sometimes I'll say that way too many times. Land in the plane. Or like, when is she going to do it? You should have talked about it many times. The 3 letters that are inside the word Yahshua forms a word that means nobleman. A nobleman. This is the calling for those who are of nobility.
And that's a loaded.
It is.
I mean, we're going to
And
touch.
I don't know about you guys, but as soon as I said that, I felt that.
Yeah.
And this is why our reparenting of ourselves is so important, because we are of noble bloodline. If you guys are here and the language drew you, it's because you are of nobility. This is why it's called a royal priesthood. And the royal priesthood has been given as an inheritance, a double portion, the Hebrew and the Aramaic, to be able to cause the effect, not cause and effect, but actually cause the effect, to be that change that we are all wanting to see. And it is being gifted to us right now for those who are entering in the active form of the Aleph. And why I'm spending so much time for us to realize that that is the universal Adam. This is our birthright. This is our birthright, folks. This is our birthright. And so all this mess that we're seeing out in the world, all the things, I've seen many of your guys' posts, the things that you want to see changed in the world. I know a lot of it because I see a lot of the posts, and I know the passion and compassion you have for humanity. This is how we do it. Because we can't do it by fighting externally. The war is within. The war has always been within. We have been baited to look and see it's on the outside. And then we get caught in the measure of saying, well, we got to do something about it. We got to do something about it. Well, tell me how you're going to do something about it, please, because I want to know. Because I hear people in their frustration say we need to say something about it, but all that does is it just stirs us up in our anger and our frustration. We are giving you a way to do something about it, to actually make something happen. And this doesn't mean we have to pick up arms or go to war. The war is already waging inside of here. So let the Hallel and the Lila join. Let's transmute all of the shadows, get to the place where we become Yod He, Shin, Vav He, and put our magic together to create something that is so phenomenal that we can eradicate all of this other chaos on the outside because we've eliminated it from the inside. And then we go teach others how to do it. And as soon as we eliminate the chaos from the inside, we will stop freaking manifesting it on the outside, because we will have perfected love that casted out all fear. This is how we're doing it. I know this firsthand.
But before we can do that, to birth thought, we have to conceive it first. And this is what our heart is to show you the process of vision. And that's all based on the seed of conception. When we can conceive this, then we can give it to thought, and thought will produce the intention, therefore begetting it as a birthing nobility in the world again. There is an order to this, and it's a legal standing. Gives you the right to stand as an authority in the earth again, as the anointed, as nobility being reestablished. It's something that we came in without nobility, and it's a language of deposition, dethroned of nobility.
That's right.
And so our whole process is to rethrone ourselves through nobility. By conception, I beget.
you.